Well, hi everybody, it's Rusty again, and today I'm going to talk about an important subject, and that is hiking in the Age of Cooties. Now, I'm using the term cooties not to belittle it or to make light of it. It's a serious matter. But as we know, there are certain keywords that if I say, the YouTube algorithms are going to kick in and start throwing stuff all over and scrutinizing, and I just don't want to get into it. So, you know what I'm talking about when I talk about hiking in the Age of Cooties. Now, I am speaking in the context of January 2022. It's a fluid situation. It may change, so just keep that in mind. Now, just like before, since I am talking about health matters, I put up this caveat, this warning that this presentation is my opinion. It's not intended as medical or health advice for an individual. Always consult with your physician. I do not have medical training, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so the agenda today. I'm going to lecture a little bit, and I apologize ahead of time for that, but I have strong feelings, so I'm going to ask us to get serious. Then we're going to talk about traveling to the trail, and that's when I think I'm the most vulnerable, actually, to the cooties. How I'm going to handle it when I'm on the trail, and what I'm going to do for hostels, hotels, and restaurants. Okay, so I was watching a TV local newscast, and just a brief 10-second sound bite. They were interviewing some guy out in a parking lot somewhere, and he says, "Oh, I'm not getting the cooties shot. I figure my immune system is better than any shot that I can take." My opinion is, dude, you're an idiot. It's too bad you're clearly have already past the age of reproduction. So I wish no ill will on you. There's no point in natural selection jumping in here. But let's take a look at an analogy. Now, analogies can be dangerous if we use them to illustrate information, to enhance understanding. Analogies can be good. Just don't take them too literally. So let's think about this scenario. Some foreign nation, doesn't matter what it is, call it NK, call it R, I don't care. They've invaded and conquered Canada and Mexico. And then let's suppose they've put large naval fleets off both our coasts. It's clear they're going to attack, all right? And they've got a new weapon, but we've obtained the specification for the weapon. Okay, so how do we react to this situation? Strategy A is we wait for the attack because we're strong, and we just know that we can fight off any foreign invaders. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait until they attack, and then we're going to deploy all our soldiers, and we're going to even recruit new new soldiers into the army, and we're going to train them. Or B, we can say, let's start training our soldiers to fight against this new weapon, and let's deploy them before the attack. Well, what strategy is probably going to work better? Strategy A, you're going to take a hit, and you're going to take a lot of damage while you're trying to get the troops in place and get new ones recruited, because you need new ones. Strategy B is a little more prudent. It's going to get you ready for the attack. Might not be perfect, right? You're still, it's all hypothetical. You haven't seen the actual weapon. We know the specifications for it. We know how to build a defense for it. But for any individual, strategy B is going to be better than strategy A. Now, for comparing two people, maybe my strategy B isn't going to be as good as your strategy A, but it's going to be better than my strategy A. And if you would go with strategy B, you're going to be better off than if you went with strategy A. So that's the analogy that I'm going to make. And I think you know where I'm coming from here. And, if you're depending on strategy A, it's time to put on your big boy or big girl pants and move over to strategy B. Okay, so traveling to the trail. Well, first let's talk about what is my plan for 2022. So you've seen this map before. The red area way to the right is 114 and a half miles up north from Monson, Maine to Mount Katahdin that I have to do. Going there, I'm just going to be traveling by my own car. I'm going up to Millinocket, probably taking a shuttle ride around to Monson, and yeah, I'll have, I'll be fully masked up while in that shuttle ride. But I'm going to concentrate more on the down south to the left part, the red section of trail to the left, because that's Roanoke, Virginia, and that's quite a ways, and then 730 miles down from there. I haven't even thought about how I'm going to get back, so I'm going to concentrate on how I'm going to get down there. So here are my options, and they're in order of decreasing risk. First, I could take an airplane, probably a series of flights to get to Roanoke. It's not a real big airport, and I'd be flying out of Bradley, which is also not a very big airport, so maybe I have to go by Chicago. I don't know what the flights are, but I looked some up, and it was like $250. And the problem there is, the airline executives can guarantee us that our filtration systems are just better than, than anything in the world. They're the best in the world. Okay, even if I accept that, the air's got to get through the filtration system. That filtration system is not going to protect me against the idiot next to me who's coughing all over the place, and when the flight attendants aren't around, taking off his mask because he's got the right not to wear a mask, or he's one of these people who actually cause a flight to turn around because he refuses to wear a mask. Okay, so I think a plane is out for a number of reasons. Just the whole hassles with equipment and everything, and getting my trekking poles through security. I just don't want to deal with it. So I won't be flying a plane. Could take a bus. Now the bus, the people who are passengers on buses are a little more down to earth than those in airplanes. The last time I took a bus to start a hike, everybody was masked up and everybody was fine. But that's an enclosed space. Yeah, maybe you can open the window, or the driver stops once in a while. You can get some fresh air. But there are other problems. I'm prone to motion sickness, travel sickness. And the bus is down to Roanoke. That's a 23-hour bus ride. I just can't imagine where it's going. There must be layovers and everything else. So, yeah, cheaper, $90, but bus is kind of out. My next choice might be the train. Now, I took the train back from Roanoke already, and it was one changeover in New Haven, but it was pretty much a straight shot. And it's a full travel day, but it's not 23 hours. It's more of like, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or whatever. Not too bad. I think with a little Dramamine, I can probably handle it. I found coming back from Roanoke that I had a seat to myself. That's not going to happen on a train, on a plane. May or may not happen on a bus, but on the train, I'm fairly confident that I can I can practice social distancing and have a KN95 mask. KN standing for, spelling it differently, but it stands for Cootie Neutralizer 95. So a train would not be a bad option. And the price is, reasonable. I can handle it. The other choice is a rental car. That's not any more expensive than taking a plane. A one-way rental. I checked the Hertz price. These are all prices that if I were to reserve for the summer, if I were to reserve now, these are the prices that the internet told me. And a rental car, I think that would be the safest. I'm socially distanced from everybody. Darlene would be uncomfortable with the idea of me driving that far. I have fairly recently actually driven from home down to Dahlgren, Virginia, stayed there for some business, and then returned driving back. And, I was fine. Roanoke is a little bit farther than that, but it's kind of, like the same order of magnitude. So I may actually go with the rental car option. However, Darlene will have a lot to say in that. I respect her opinion on these things, and it is good to have an unbiased outside opinion, rather than be, the stubborn guy, like the meme of the billboard that says, 50,000 men will die of stubbornness this year, and somebody scrawled on, no, we won't, so I haven't decided yet. I'm leaning towards rental car, at least to get down there. I can't see me driving back from, say, Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know what I'm going to do there. That probably will be a train. I don't even know if they have sleeper cars anymore or anything, but that's how I plan on getting down to the trail. Most likely rental car, possibly train. Bus and air I just think are not options for me. So what do we do when we're on the trail? Well, what do I do when I encounter other hikers coming the other way, or at rest, if we're stopping to rest or look at a view? Well, I'll be bringing some, N95 masks with me, but I'll also bring cloth masks. And the reason for the cloth mask is they're useful, maybe not as good as a KN95, but they are triple use. I mean, I can use it as a mask. I actually use it during colder nights to keep my face warm, because I'm all scrunched up and I got, my puffy jacket on and I'm inside the sleeping bag, but my face is exposed to the cold. Don't know how much cold I'll get, but maybe up in Maine I might get some. And it helps keep my face warm. And then the third use was actually like at the start of my last year's long hike. I stayed at the Church of the Mountain Hiker, and I used their shelter out back, and it turned out there was a spotlight on the side of the building shining right inside of the shelter. I put the mask over my eyes, and its third purpose was to allow me to sleep under those circumstances. So I will be bringing those masks, and I think as I approach maybe a crowded area, a super spreader area, as we'd like to call it on the trail, I'll just throw at least that mask on, and if I have any N95s or KN95s with me, maybe I'll use them instead. But that's you're pretty much social distancing while you're out there, so that's just a kind of a sporadic thing. The real danger is letting my guard down and not taking the necessary precautions. Well, what about hiking with others? Sometimes you end up hiking with somebody. I ended up hiking with Brian for probably 50, 60 miles last year. And I think there, actually, it's almost a little safer if they're cautious. And when you're hiking with somebody, you're not like holding hands. You're not right next to each other. So you're kind of social distancing. Plus, if it's somebody who's been cautious and you've observed them and they're not showing any symptoms, of course, they could be an asymptomatic carrier, but so could you. But I think that's actually a little bit safer than just walking into a crowd of strangers overlooking a vista or something like that. So I'm not as concerned about hiking with others on a steady basis. Where I'm most concerned out on the trail is shelters. When do I want to shelter? Well, when I need it the most is when it's probably going to be most crowded, and that is if the weather is bad. So I may just have to suck it up and put myself in my tent. Now, I know the rules in the Smoky Mountains. There's some rules there that if there's room in the shelter, you have to take it before you pitch a tent. As far as I'm concerned, if there's more than one person, or more than one other person, and that other person is on one wall of the shelter and I'm on the other wall of the shelter, I'm fine. If there's more people than that, then as far as I'm concerned, there is no room in the shelter, and I'll fight that. If a ranger comes by and says, "Hey, you're supposed to be in the shelter," I'm going to say, "No, it's too crowded." So maybe I'll lose the argument. I'm not going to argue with law enforcement authorities or the park rangers. If the guy insists, I'm going to say, "Well, okay," and then I'm going to hope I have a good supply of N95 masks with me, because those aren't reusable the way a cloth mask you can wash. And I'm just going to have to mask up in the shelter. So one advantage I have is I'm starting a lot farther south this year than last year. And last year I ran into a lot of northbounders as I was headed south. And they started to peter out the last 2 weeks. In the last 5 days, I was the only person at night in the shelters. Now that's just coincidence. But this year I'm starting farther south. I may actually I'm kind of hiking in the off season. I'll probably have even more opportunities for, being the one or one of two people in a shelter. So we'll see how that works out. I'll report back when I get back from that trip. But that's basically what I'm looking at. So the bigger issue for me is, what do I do at hostels and hotels? At hostels, there may be a lot of hikers. Now, this is also what I said about shelters is also true. I found the hostels, as I got farther south, kind of off-season-ish. They were much less crowded, so it was less of an issue. I actually was usually in a bunk room by myself, where there might have been 4 bunks, 6 bunks. I was the only one there, so I hope that is the situation that I'm in. But if I am sharing a bunk room with somebody else, I'll probably sleep with the cloth mask on overnight. I mean, you are kind of at a distance from them. I mean, nobody's sleeping in the bunk with you. They're either a bunk above you or a bunk a little ways away. That's where I feel about what I feel about the bunks. Now, eating, if they have family style meals, I'm not going there with a bunch of strangers. If there are meals at the hostel that I can buy and prepare and maybe go out to a picnic table outside or something like that, I'll do that. If I have to do takeout and eat it outside, I'll do that. I don't want to seem antisocial, but at my age, I don't have any preconditions that I know of, but I'm just not going to take a chance. So that's how I'm going to handle hostels. I will mask up when necessary. I will try eating away from people. If there's just 2 of us at the table and we can be at opposite ends of the table, that's fine. I'll do that. Hotels and restaurants. I consulted with somebody who works in a medical institution. The person does not have a medical degree, but she is tuned into that sort of thing. It told me, hotels are probably safe, especially if you arrive at it. Check-in time, in the afternoon. The room has been unoccupied for a while. It's been cleaned if it's a good hotel. I mean, if it's a flea bag hotel, and I have stayed at some, maybe not, but at least, if the room hasn't been occupied for a while, you're probably okay. Restaurants, maybe I would be eating alone. If I can get a booth or something like that and maintain the social distance, I'll do that. But I'm more likely to, maybe get a takeout. And again, if I'm at a hotel and near a hostel, I'd go back to the hostel and eat outside. I actually ate at a nice restaurant on my last trip, a nice big steak and egg breakfast, and they had outdoor dining. And, just because I was a stinky hiker, I stayed outside anyway. But it was much easier to maintain the social distancing there. So I think that it's just going to be a matter of assessing each situation, keeping CDC guidelines in mind, keeping social distancing in mind, and I hopefully, as things stand now in January of 2022, if they're the same, come summer, I think I can maintain a safe posture out there. So I'm not going to stop living the green, but I'm not stop living the dream. But I'm not going to take any chances either. So that's my position. Thanks for listening.